What's going on? What's going on, everybody? My name's Corey, that TCG guy. It's been a minute since I did a video. We did the Command Fest Richmond vlogs, put those out, like it was about a week ago. And then between work and streaming, I just haven't had a ton of time to make a video, but I'm back. I'm here for you. Because I love you. In like a weird, no, not in a weird, oh God, in like a friendship way. It's like a friendship thing. Anyway, we're here to do a deck tech here for you. Today we're talking about Baba Yaga.
You know Baba Yaga?
Talking about Baba Yaga Night Witch. This here is a, where is it? There you go. Now you can see it. I'm gonna put the card up on the screen anyway, so you can take a look at it. It's gonna be right here. Baba Yaga Night Witch, 1 green/black for a legendary creature, human warlock, has an ability here that says tap, sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrifice permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, and then you draw 3 cards. That's pretty good. Yeah, so it's a Golgari sacrifice commander surprise from Commander Legends 2 Battle for Baldur's Gate. Still a mouthful to say it, and you know, I'm just super psyched that we have plenty of time with these cards, and you know, we don't have to worry about any new spoilers or what? Huh? Oh, they already started spoiling Double Masters 2022. Oh, I mean, it's not like there's anything good being spoiled, right? Like, it's got to be like rinky. Oh, there was like a lot of really good cards spoiled already. Oh, okay. I mean, why do we even do this? Like, why do we do these things? Oh, no, we're fine. We're good. Battle for Baldur's Gate is still here. You're still building commanders from it. People are still jamming tons of games with these new commanders. So, we're going to go over Baba Yaga Night Witch right now. Let's get to it. All right, once again, we're talking about Baba Yaga Night Witch, 1 black-green for a 3/3 legendary creature, human warlock, with an ability that reads, tap, sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrifice permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards. So the original plan with this deck was to go all double sub-type theme tribal, meaning like each creature would have like artifact creature, enchantment creature, some sort of double sub-type, or at least a way to give everything a double subtype. As I went through it, I found that there weren't as many double subtype cards that went really well in this deck. I mean, you could potentially turn this into like an all artifact creature kind of thing or an all enchantment creature thing, but the synergies there, it just wouldn't really work out. So I ended up going with a little mix of double subtype mixed with some token aristocrat-y things. So you'll see as we go through this that there's going to be a variety of different strategies. There's really just 2. There's the double subtype, you're going to see a lot of tokens, and then you're going to see some aristocrat themes. And that's really how we're going to win, is with the sacrifice themes. We're not really going to be swinging in for damage, though, you know, we do have some creatures in here that is possible to do. But really, Baba Yaga's ability plus the aristocrat-y, sacrifice-y, life-draining effects are really what we're going to be looking for. So, to start this off, we're going to be looking at some of the double subtype creatures that we have. So we're going to be starting here with the artifact creatures. There's really only a few of them in here. I think there's 4 total. I think that's it. And each of them play a pretty specific role, except for, I mean, you'll see what we have in here. So first off, we have Ornithopter of Paradise. This is a 2 mana 0/2 artifact creature Thopter. It has flying, and you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. This is going to, help us with our mana fixing, but it's also going to be that artifact creature. So if we need to sacrifice it using a Baba Yaga, then we have that option. All right, we also have Gingerbrute, Noxious Gearhulk, and a Wormcoil Engine rounding out our artifact creatures. Gingerbrute really is just there to be a very low drop artifact creature. I was able to the other day with Marin just kind of loop this every single turn and use it with Baba Yaga to be 2 of my 3 different card types for the sacrifice ability. So Gingerbrute, just a really good low drop. You can get a couple of points of damage in with it, if you're kind of playing that way, but really it's an artifact creature that's just there to essentially get sacrificed. Noxious Gearhulk is just a really good artifact creature in general, along with Wormcoil Engine as well. Noxious Gearhulk, 4 black for a 4/5 artifact creature construct with Menace. When Noxious Gearhulk enters the battlefield, you may destroy another target creature. If a creature is destroyed this way, I gain life equal to its toughness. You'll notice a lot of the dual subtype creatures here have some sort of other ability that's going to help me kind of advance my life total, my board state, destroy other creatures. They're not just kind of in there to, except for Gingerbrew, to be nothing. So Noxious Gearhulk is doing a little bit of life gain, a little bit of destroy something, and also giving me that body, which is an artifact creature, to sacrifice later. And then Wormcoil Engine. It's an artifact creature that I can sacrifice to turn into 2 more artifact creatures. I mean, and it's an excellent blocker. And then when you get the 2, tokens, you can swing in, you can choose to block, you can use to sacrifice them. It's just an all-around good card to have, especially in this deck. The rest that we have here are some enchantment creatures. This isn't all of them. Same thing with the artifact creatures. This isn't every single one I have in the deck. You can check out the deck list in the description below. These are just some of the ones that I feel like are important to point out. First off here, we have Gloom Shrieker. 1, a green and a black for a 2/1 enchantment creature, Cat Beast with Menace. And then when Gloom Shrieker enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And then if it would die, exile it instead. So this is doing, again, double duty. It is an enchantment creature for us to sacrifice, but when it enters the battlefield, we can return a permanent from our graveyard to our hand. Maybe something we sacrificed earlier, a land, a creature, an enchantment, something that we can then use again. So again, pulling double duty, just an all-star. Next up, we have Fang of Shigeki. I hope I said that right. It's a 1-mana 1/1 with Death Touch. Really, it's a good early blocker in the early game, but then it's an enchantment creature to sacrifice later on. Next up, we have Dryad of the Elysian Grove. It's an enchantment creature, a 2/4 for 2 and a green. You can play an additional land on each of your turns, and then lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. I mean, the double land thing is excellent, especially since we're sacrificing a ton of lands. And you'll see that there's some land recursion also that is in here. So that's going to help. And again, enchantment creature. Dockside Chef is another early game card, a single black mana for a 1/2 enchantment creature. 1 and a black, sacrifice an artifact or creature and draw a card. So again, pulling double duty. It's allowing us to potentially draw a card if we need to, if we get stuck. But if we're solid and we just need a Baba Yaga target, enchantment creature, checking off those boxes, real good. Next up, we have Courser of Crewfix, a really good enchantment creature you see in a lot of green decks. 1 green for a 2/4 enchantment creature, Centaur. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card of your library if it's a land, and then when a land enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Excuse me. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So double duty, letting us play lands off the top, gaining us some life, being that enchantment creature body if we need a Baba Yaga target. I'm going to say Baba Yaga a lot in this video, hence why we have this. Baba Yaga! And then lastly, we have Erebos the Bleak-Hearted. This is the new Erebos from Theros Beyond Death. There it is. 3 and a black for a 5/6 indestructible legendary enchantment creature god. As long as your devotion to black is less than 5, Erebos isn't a creature. Whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Pay 2 life, excuse me. If you do, draw a card. And then 1 and a black, sacrifice another creature. Target creature gets -2/-1 till end of turn. So again, you're seeing a lot of double dipping here where we're getting some value off of the card itself, but then if we need to sacrifice it, we have 2 different subtypes. So it's a great Baba Yaga target. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about here is the token generators. There are a ton of token generators in this deck. Again, I'm not going through each and every one, just some of the main ones I feel like are worth talking about. If you want to see the entire deck list again, you can check out the link down in the description below. The first one I want to talk about here is From Beyond. This is a rare from Battle for Zendikar. Just a glance down Magic memory lane, though. I guess Battle for Zendikar is really only like, what, 5 years ago? 4 years ago? Who knows? It's oh god, time is just a nothing to me anymore. But anyway, we have From Beyond, 3 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield. And then it has some stuff, but it doesn't matter because we're using it literally to just every upkeep create a token, which is going to be a Eldrazi creature. So that way we have a creature to sacrifice every turn with Baba Yaga if we need to. It's really, really good. I highly, highly recommend it. The next one we're running here is Worm Harvest. This one is from, I think, Commander 2016. It's 2 and then 3 hybrid Golgari mana symbols. Create a 1/1 a black and green worm creature token for each land in your graveyard. We're going to be sacrificing quite a bit of lands with Baba Lysaga's ability, so this is actually going to prove a little bit more lucrative than it would in some other decks. And then it has Retrace, so we can discard a land card and then play its other cost to play it again from our graveyard, and we can just keep doing this over and over again, and giving us plenty of creatures for, you know, blocking or attacking if we want to, but also plenty of creatures for sacrificing. And then we have the combo of Tireless Provisioner and Tireless Tracker. Both of these with, you know, I think one of them has actual landfall, the other one's pseudo landfall. With the Tracker, every time a land enters the battlefield, we investigate, and then with Provisioner, whenever a land enters the battlefield, we create a food or a treasure token. So again, this is just ways to give us some recurable sacrifice outlets, or we can sacrifice them themselves. The creatures count as a type for us to sacrifice, so all these cards really can be sacrificed, but these ones are here to generate us some tokens instead. One of the more interesting ones here is Guillaume Master Chef, 2 and then a black and a green for a 5/3 legendary creature, Troll Warlock with Trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under my control this turn. Pay 1, sacrifice a food, target creature gains indestructible till end of turn, and tap it. So gives us a little bit of protection, but also we get some food tokens by playing creatures. Next up, one of my favorite cards ever, and this goes well with any token strategy. We have Chatterfang Squirrel General, 2 and a green for a 3/3 legendary creature, Squirrel Warrior with Forest Walk. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead. This basically just gives us a way when we're making a food, we get a squirrel, making a treasure, get a squirrel, Clue, get a squirrel, Scion, get a squirrel. So it's giving us multiple tokens to take advantage of. And then also, you know, if we need to kill a thing, we can use its ability because we'll have plenty of squirrels to sacrifice. It's just a really good card. And then the 2 heavy hitters we have here, Bootlegger Stash and Academy Manufacturer. These 2 together are just bonkers because it's going to just create you a ton of fodder. Bootlegger Stash, 5 and a green. Lands you control have tap to create a treasure token. And then Academy Manufacturer says if you would create a clue, food, or a treasure, create one of each instead. So just... You tap a land to make a treasure, you end up with a clue, a food, and a treasure. That's bonkers. That's insane. These 2 cards are really good together. And also, Academy Manufacturer is an artifact creature. So, you know, pulling that double duty. Not bad. All right, so we're going to be sacrificing all of these things quite a bit. What are we going to do once they're sacrificed and stuck in our graveyard? Well, here are some of the different recursion options we have. And then the last thing we're going to talk about after this is some of the aristocrat payoffs that we have. But before we do that, let's talk about how we're going to get some of these things back so we can keep sacrificing them. The first one we have is a card from Fate Reforged called Palace Siege. 3 black for an enchantment. As Palace Siege enters the battlefield, choose cons or dragons. We're always choosing cons. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Just really good, especially with some of those low drop creatures. We can play it, sacrifice it, go around, beginning of our next upkeep, pull it back to our hand, play it for 1 mana, sacrifice it, keep doing this over and over and over again. So really good card to have in this deck. All right, Agadeem's Awakening coming in with double duty. It could be a land with Agadeem the Undercrypt, or it can be Agadeem's Awakening the sorcery, X and then triple black. Sorcery, return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different converted mana cost, X or less. So basically, if X is 10, you can go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, blah, 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 blah. So it's just going to be able to get a bunch of creatures out of the graveyard back to the battlefield for us to then reuse with... Vanewitch Coven, 2 and a black for a 3/3 Vampire Warlock with Menace. Whenever you gain life, you can pay a swamp. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. With Baba Yaga, we're always gaining life when we activate it. We'll be gaining 3 life, so we can pay a swamp and then return a creature from our graveyard. Just really solid recursion. Something similar here we have is Silver Smote Ghoul, 2 and a black for a 3/1. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, return Silver Smote Ghoul from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and then you can sacrifice him to draw a card. So we're gaining the 3 life. So we sacrifice him, we gain the 3 life, we bring him right back at the end step. Seems pretty good. We also have Marin of Clan Nel Toth, which seems pretty good in this deck, and let me tell you, it was. 2 black and a green for a 3/4 legendary creature human shaman. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter, and at the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield, otherwise put it in your hand. So this is what I was able to return Gingerbrute with over and over and over again. But then as you kill Gingerbrute over and over and over again, you get more experience counters. You can start getting some of those bigger creatures from your graveyard back into the battlefield. So it's really, really good. We do have a little bit of land recursion. There is some land sacrifice sub-themes here with like Gitrog Monster and with Titania. So there is a little bit of, reasonings to sacrifice your lands and bring them back. So we have Ramanop Excavator. You may play lands from your graveyard. Pretty simple. I do not have a Crucible of Worlds in here, primarily because it's like $35. Maybe it's going to be going down now because of the reprint in Double Masters. For those of you who don't know, it is being reprinted in Double Masters. It was spoiled today. Previewed today, excuse me. So who knows? We'll keep an eye on it. Maybe it goes down a little bit. Maybe we get one in Double Masters. Who knows? And then we also have World Shaper from Rivals of Ixalan. This is a 3 and a green, 3/3 Merfolk Shaman. When you attack, you can put the top 3 cards of your library in your graveyard. You don't have to. And then when it dies, put all land cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. So you can just mass an abundance of lands in your graveyard, sacrifice World Shaper with Baba Yaga, get all those lands back into the battlefield, and be ready to go. So really good, awesome land recursion. And then a really weird one that I hope works, and I'm going to try it. We'll see. It's from Strixhaven. 1 triple black, triple green, so 7 mana for an instant. You can exchange your hand and graveyard, and then exile Harness Infinity. So I'm thinking if we end up having a huge graveyard full of stuff, we're drawing dead cards, maybe we just keep drawing lands. We can use this and then just swap out our graveyard with our hand. And then all those things that died, we now have access to again. So we'll see if it's any good. I have yet to try it out. But I wanted to give it a shot and see if it, if this is its home. All right, and the last thing we're going to talk about here is some of the Aristocrat Sacrifice payoffs. First off, we have 3 very similar ones: Bastion of Remembrance, Agent of the Iron Throne, and Zulaport Cutthroat. There's a bunch of different black creatures that have this, drain effect. I only went with these 3 drain effects because I feel like, Baba Yaga herself is a drain effect. So if you want to dip more heavy into the Aristocrats theme, by all means, add some of those. Maybe take out some of the dual sub-theme cards. But I think this is a pretty good balance. So first off, Bastion of Remembrance, 2 and a black for an enchantment. When Bastion of Remembrance enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, some fodder. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain 1 life. Pretty self-explanatory. Agent of the Iron Throne is a new background from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. It is 2 and a black for a legendary enchantment. Commander creatures you own have, when an artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. And then Zulaport Cutthroat, 1 and a black for a 1/1 human rogue ally. When Zulaport Cutthroat or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. It steered more towards the effects that drain the entire table versus the ones where it was more targeted. I think whatever the painter one is that I can't think of right now, that one's targeted. I'm pretty sure Vindictive Vampire's targeted. I wanted more table-wide drain effects instead of being like, I'll drain everyone for 3, and then I'll drain Donnie for 1. I didn't want to make enemies in that way, even though I'm draining everybody. And yeah, that's it. There's still a ton of cards in the deck that I didn't go over. We obviously have some protection. We have some removal. It's green-black. There's going to be plenty of that to go around. I don't think there's any... Oh, you know what I missed? There's a few lands that kind of count for all 3 of our subtypes. So let's throw these in here as well. So we have Mishra's Factory. This is a land that for 1 mana becomes a 2/2 Assembly Worker artifact creature until end of turn. It is still a land. That's really good. And then we also have Frostwalk Bastion. This is a snow land for 1 and snow. I need to find a snow land to put in this deck. Oh shit. Anyway, for 1 and snow until end of turn, Frostwalk Bastion becomes a 2/3 construct artifact creature. It is still a land. that's it. We have, like I said, the full deck list is going to be in the show notes below. So go ahead and take a look at it and let me know what you think. This is, again, a mix of like dual subtypes, artifact token, or excuse me, dual subtypes, tokens, aristocrat, and then land destruction, like land recursion. So there's a few different strategies kind of melded into one. But I feel like, you know, I did play it a couple times the other night, and it did work pretty consistently, and I was able to drain the table almost to death, but unfortunately got, you know, attacked out. So, you know, one of the things we got to watch out for is blockers. We are sacrificing a lot of things, so we need to make sure we have a ton of tokens or creatures available to block and kind of help protect us. But overall, I think it's an awesome deck. I think it's a fun deck. It has more than just aristocrats kind of pulled into it, and I feel like that's kind of a trap a lot of Golgari decks fall into, and I'm really excited to kind of tune this deck and add things, take things out as I play it, and learn it a little bit better. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let's go to the outro. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know the whole deal with YouTube and stuff. It helps, you know, the algorithm. So do all the stuff you do on the YouTubes. It is much, much appreciated. And as always, these videos, they're not sponsored. I wouldn't say they're sponsored. You know, if you were just ever sitting there and you're like, hey, I could use some awesome altered reality, high quality pins, you could go to PinfinityAR.com and use promo code ThatTCGguy for 20% off of your entire order, which is bananas, or 20% off of your first subscription order, which is insane. These pins look amazing. They're awesome. You scan with your phone and they come to life, which is super cool. So definitely go check that out. Also, if you're sitting there and you're like, man, I would love anything from Wormwood Gaming, but I don't want to pay domestic shipping because that seems like a lot. You could go to wormwoodgaming.com, get yourself whatever you want, and then use promo code ThatTCGguy for free domestic shipping, which is incredible here in the US. So let's keep it local. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you out in some way. If you have any suggestions, things you would change, cards you would swap out, or things you would put in, let me know in the comments below, because this is like a collaborative thing, and I would love to hear, you know, what you want to do, because I love you. I gotta stop saying that. All right, we're gonna get going. All right, we'll catch you in the next video. See you later.